Corridor Calamity. It was springtime on the island of Sodor, and Knapford Station had been renovated. There was a metropolitan lounge and large buildings in the city. All the engines loved Knapford Station, and Percy loved the crisp air and the nice warm sunshine. Thomas was in the yard waiting for Annie and Clarabelle. Percy pulled up. He was busy. Knapford Station looks different, puffed Thomas. IOSTA's a new logo. What does IOSTA stand for? Asked Percy. Island of Sodor Transportation Authority, explained Thomas. It's the commuter rail for our island. I pull the Kildane line, Ruppy said. I'm the IOSTA engine. I'm the Candy Pajama Slumber Express, Claudia said, 'cause that's my route. I have a route too, said Fergie. I pulled the underwater service. I pulled the Suttery line, said Carrie, 'cause I'm really useful. The Express is an important train, Gordon said, 'cause I'm a big, strong engine. A splendid red engine can use Roy-G Biv coaches, said James. That's my train, said Freda. That night at Tidmouth Sheds, all the engines were talking about their jobs. I'm sure Beanish can do a good job with me, puffed Thomas. She's a woman train. Well, women trains are new, said Percy. And they're really useful, added James, 'cause a red engine can use its lamps at night. They're gonna fit ditch lamps on me during Christmas, Gordon said. I wish I had those, Fatu said. So did I, said Mevi. And I wish we can be useful, Mia said. The next day, Thomas was shunting freight cars at Knapford Yards. He was busy and doing a good job. James pulled into the station with his mix-up train. I'm sure a red engine would be just the thing for the Express for one day, James said to himself. 'Cause springtime is almost over. So he pulled carefully in. I'm a shiny red engine, said James, 'cause that's why I'm pulling a passenger goods train. Gordon smiled. I can pull the Express and I never complain, he said. 'Cause I'm just the fastest engine. James smiled. Well, I like to show off, he said. I'm glad you're not showing off today, said Freda. A few minutes later, James was buffered up to some ballast cars and he took them to Vickerstown. I'm gonna pull a long train of 300 wagons, said Beanish. That's way too long for a train, Gordon said. I can't pull that many cars. He was shocked. Gordon soon departed Knapford Station and was making his way to Vickerstown. The passengers were enjoying the smooth ride, and in coach class, it was nice and soft and the seats were nice. And the sun was shining and the birds were singing. Gordon puffed along. "Express coming through," Gordon said. "I'm the fastest engine." Gordon steamed along through the snow near the mountains. The passengers looked at the mountains in the springtime. "This is cool," they said. Further up down the line, James was taking his goods train to Treatsfield. Then Gordon went onto the wrong track and saw James right ahead of him. "Oh no!" cried James. "We're on the wrong line!" James was shocked. "Watch out!" he cried. "Oh, the indignity!" cried Gordon. Both engines applied their brakes. Gordon did as hard as he could, and James applied his brakes too. "Oh no, this is gonna feel bad." Then his wheels skidded along the line, and the crew members jumped out to not be hurt. It was too late. This is horrifying. And then a big bomb exploded. And it shook the ground. And then the passengers were screaming and crying. And they were bumped around and tossed upside down and sideways inside the coaches, and they all bailed out to avoid being hit by broken glass and falling rail of supplies equipment. Then the fire turned green. As soon as the fire was out, Edward was shocked. James and Gordon had smashed their buffers really hard, and James was thrown to the side of the tracks in a pile of dust. "My red coat is ruined," he said. And the passenger cars were bumped around, and then one of them had telescoped right into the tank car filled with jet fuel. Gordon was in a pool filled with body fluid, and he was most upset. "That looks petrifying," Edward said. "I'm sure the crew members won't like that. Because we need a new train for the passengers." And he steamed off to Knapford Station. "Gordon's in danger," Edward said, surprised. He's in a shocked voice. "He is?" said Henry. "I should go save his passengers." And he puffed away with the coaches behind him. "This is my journey," he said. I must get to the accident collision. Henry arrived at the collision. Gordon had collided with a goods train on the same line. And Gordon and James were proud. "Thanks for coming," said James. "I'm really useful to be good again, and I have to go to the steamworks to be repaired," Gordon said. "'Cause it is beautiful in the sunset." And then he was right. That night, a big storm came to Sodor, and lightning flashed and thunder crashed. And heavy rain landed on the sheds. The coaches were getting washed. Gordon and James were damaged, and they suffered boiler damage, the engine burned, speedometers and cabs. "We're gonna be good in the morning," said James. "Rain is short. It's gonna be sunny tomorrow." The next day, James was repaired, and he was pulling freight cars again. He was doing a good job with his work. The cars clickety-clacked along the track. The crossing gates came down, and a car waited for James to cross. And he whistled hello to the car and went over to the other side. Percy arrived in the rail yard with his coaches to check on James. "I'm glad you're repaired," Percy said. "Thanks," puffed James. "A red engine is much better now." And he was right. Percy smiled. "We are both really useful," said Percy. The sun was shining and the birds were singing, and Percy and James smiled happily.